I assume a lot of you want to grow up, get married, and start a family of your own someday. And if you're anything like me, I cannot wait to start my own family. But have any of you ever considered adopting some of your own kids? A lot of you may not want to. Whether you want to or not, that is up to you. But I personally love adoption. As you all know, I'm adopted. And to be honest, for a while, I did not like it. Probably because I didn't know how it all worked. I thought that I came out of my mother's tummy. I just said no, that it came out of someone else's. I was so confused. And for a while, I did think that they were my foster parents, until they explained it all to me and I finally understood it. But I always wondered what my life would have been like if I wasn't adopted. I would probably be in a gang involved in drugs and alcohol. My mother was an alcoholic and a drug addict, and she doesn't even know who my father was. My grandfather was called the drug lord, and he was the head of the gang. If I would have stayed there, there is a good chance that I would not be alive today. So I am very blessed and forever grateful that God put me in my true family. I am very lucky. I was never abused, never taken away from my biological family, or I was never in an orphanage. We have a close family friend who runs an orphanage, and when they found this little boy named Wessler, they said that he was severely beaten up from head to toe. And every time you would try to touch him, he would get so terrified that you were going to hurt him. And when he was 2.5 years old, for some reason, he was forced back into his biological family. There are more than 130,000 kids waiting to be adopted in the U.S. I just wonder how many kids all around the world are waiting to be adopted. This boy's story that I found online, his name is Raymond, and he said that his father beat him, his brothers, and his sisters. He said, quote, "He kept beating us up, making us do all these painful things," end quote. When he was in the orphanage, he was always hearing kids say that they didn't want to get adopted. He continued to say, quote, Children were always afraid of being adopted. They were always saying, "I don't know what's going to happen, I don't want to go." Kids who look at being adopted as a wonderful thing. And Raymond got adopted by his foster mom, Gail Parker. A lot of parents who adopted children before aren't fond of the idea of adopting older kids because they have lots of psychological wounds that need to be healed. Things such as nightmares, flashbacks, and even reminding them of something that the biological parents have done could lead to a serious panic attack. Joanne Feldmuth, adopted when she was in her early teens, said, quote, "After you're 2 years old in America, it is very hard to get adopted out of the foster care system. After you're 5 years old, it's extremely difficult. After you're 8, 10, or 12, it's almost impossible." I always wondered what happened to the kids that never get adopted. It's pretty sad. In some states, at 18, they provide first month's rent and then leave them up to it to figure out themselves. Some states provide up to 3 months' rent, and the government does nothing to help them with college. The only way that they help them with is if they graduate from high school, which a lot of kids who do not get adopted don't get a proper education as other kids. Over 40% of the foster care children who age out in America end up homeless. Only 20% graduate high school with a diploma or GED, and only 29% of those kids go into college. Our government doesn't do anything to help those poor teens. Why should we adopt? There are multiple reasons why we should. The desire to give a child a family. Every child deserves to have a family who loves them and cares for them. The desire to have a child move on in life. Adopted children have a lot of baggage behind them, and it's always nice to have a family that can talk to them and have them support them. The ability to provide an adopted child in all ways. Adoption has grown a lot over the past years. 1.6 million kids have joined the family through adoption, and mostly of them are girls that get adopted by families with high incomes. And in 2004, there was a 26% increase of African American children being adopted by white families. That went up 14% from 1998. Should children be allowed to keep in touch with their biological family? A lot of kids do, a lot of kids don't. Multiple reasons why. The biological parents are either dead, want to move out in life, or the kids have nothing but hate for them. I found a couple quotes what adopted children have to say about their birth parents. And they said, quote, "They caused me more hurt and pain than any child should ever bear. They were all responsible. But those letters you send me now cause the pain to deepen. If you love me so much, why didn't you take care of me when you were my parents?" I found another one that says, "I am ashamed of you, and I'm scared to death that I'm going to end up like you, even though I have good parents who love me now." A lot of kids who are well adjusted in the new families and lives do not have the need nor desire to stay in touch with their biological family. If you look at Ephesians 1:4-5, it says, For those he chosen us in him before the creation of the world to be holy and blameless in his sight in love. He presented us to be adopted as his sons through Jesus Christ, and in accordance with his pleasure and will." You're all adopted. That's good, awesome. I am so passionate about adoption, and this speech is really personal to me, and I hope that my speech has inspired you to at least consider it, because there are millions of children out there waiting for some miracle to be in their lives, and you could save someone's life, like my parents saved mine.